Hey guys, welcome to this episode of the Ace of Spada podcast, hosted by your boy right here, Anthony Spada. Man, this is the first time creating an intro on video, so we're gonna make a good run at this. Before we get into the episode, I want to make a few quick announcements. If you guys don't know, I do run a coaching business, and if you guys are interested in becoming an ace in the deck of cards known as life, you get weekly accountability, customized training and nutrition, 24/7 access to me. You get looked at for training videos, which is something a lot of coaches do not offer, but I will help you make sure you get the most out of your workouts every single time, most out of your results. And so if you want to work together and make the mindset and the body become an ace in the deck of cards known as life, click the link down in the show notes. There's a coaching application down there. And secondly, you guys all know I work with Morphogen Nutrition. I had Ben on the show. Couldn't be more thrilled to team up with them. And for that, for all the listeners, we offer a 10% discount off all their supplements. If you use code SPADA, you will get that 10% off. Free shipping, third-party tested supplements, nothing better in the industry. I can guarantee that. So, guys, welcome to the episode, and I'll see you inside.
Not just one day. So I took like 3 months off of dieting and training. And it was like super good for me. It's a matter of getting it all back, which is going to fuck with my head a little bit too, but
yeah, I definitely feel like there is a burnout point. Like there's always a burnout point with every single thing that you do. And it's kind of getting to that point right before you burn out and consistently being at that level. Like that's when you're going to see the most growth, because once you go a bit overboard, then you're like completely fucked. Because I did it this year. What was it? So when I was working at the bar, the only time to work out was at like 6:30 in the morning. Like on nights I wasn't work. Like on nights like before I worked, like I would have off, and then the next night I would have work. So I wake up really early, go to the gym, and then my class be at like 9 a.m. So I'd go to the gym at like 6:30, get done at the gym, come home, eat my meal, and then go to class. And it was like eventually it started to catch up, and slowly it was catching up. Like the less sleep and everything was starting to take its toll, and then I like completely burned out from work. I remember having winter break, whatever it was December, and those 3 weeks off were such a recharge, which was so great because all I had to do was focus on lifting, and there was no anything else that I had to worry about. So it was like, so you get those moments, you always get those pockets of time when there's always like where you'll burn out, and then you'll have that time to kind of just take the step back, and then you'll have pockets of time where you could just absolutely push. And it's all just managing all the time in between then to make everything right.
Absolutely, dude. I mean, I completely agree with you. I mean, that's definitely an area that, are we recording now?
Mm-hmm.
You fucker, you sneak it on me every single time.
Dude, I'm doing this, dude. I'm trying to get this on, if people are listening, this episode's going to be on YouTube now.
Oh, that's awesome.
So Ben, before we get back to where we were, Ben actually asked me the other day, he's like, you ever thought about doing YouTube? And the problem with it, like I would fully do it right now if I could, but the problem is I don't always use Zoom to record. So before I was using Squadcast, which doesn't record a video. So I wouldn't have content. Like I could do my artwork and then have it on YouTube, but what's the point of doing that when you could just listen to it on Apple or Spotify when you're not seeing faces? So I want to have the guest on to see their faces and stuff like that. So it's kind of just, I'm eventually converting whatever ones I have on Zoom over to YouTube. And then from now on, I'm probably just going to use Zoom now to record all my episodes, just because It's free. It's easier.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely. I mean,
so
the video quality is fine. I assume the sound quality is pretty good too.
yeah, the sound quality is
Um,
pretty good as long as internet connection holds up. So like every now
yeah.
and then if they break up, you might lose like some parts of the audio, but that's really it.
Oh, dude,
So
I have like 50 fail safes on my computer so that I never lose a connection and I never lose like data anymore. Because I had that. Did I ever tell you about that,
no.
dude? So like the past like 3 months, my life has been like in legitimate shambles.
Yeah.
No, like hardcore. And to kick all of this off, like the beginning of all of the shambles was my computer crashed and I lost everything.
Oh no.
So like I'm talking like 2 years of Morphogen work, tons of photo shoot pictures, videos. Luckily I was able to restore a decent amount of that from like the iCloud backup and like from my external hard drive. But like there was stuff that like was not coming back.
Yeah.
Um, and that like I literally like I texted Ben and I was like, dude, I was like, I need to come over. He's like, why? I was like, I'm gonna have a breakdown. But yeah, so now, since I got the new computer and everything, I'm like super like backed up and like prepared for everything. And like my organization in general has just been better. As ever since that happened, where I'm like better at like retaining stuff and saving stuff and
Oh,
doing things correctly. Dude, because I hate to say it, but like as much as I want to say that I'm like the perfectly business minded individual and I know how to run a business like super well, I think I do an okay job. But at the end of the day, I'm still an artistic type, which means I'm a scatterbrain to some degree.
yeah.
Um, so like, I have to have like you can see it right here, like literally, I have to write stuff down like the minute I get a text message about it, or I will forget about it. Like it's nuts.
This
Um,
is the saver for every if no one knows what these little things are, you probably have a lot bigger ones because you have a lot of photos and stuff like that. If people don't know what these are, definitely get them. I know you can trust the iCloud, but
is
there's
that your
nothing
external hard
better.
drive?
Get an external hard drive. I have like a two
Yeah,
I have one that's like 2 terabytes. I have like all my I, every single episode is saved on this thing. I don't
nice,
I don't
smart.
I don't want to lose my like if I like I don't want to lose my stuff and like with me transitioning out of Squadcast, I don't know whether like my stuff gets lost or stuff, so I want to always
Mm,
have it like available just in case I
absolutely.
ever want to like repost it cuz I do have some where I use Zoom in the past that I can
Mm,
go back and repost on YouTube and stuff. So, but this computer's like 4 years old at this point. I got it right before I went to college, and
nice.
it probably will last me another 2 or 3 years. I'm gonna
Is it
assume.
is it MacBook?
Yeah, this thing.
Oh, dude, a MacBook's good for like between like I want to say 6 and 10 years, and then they become a little bit outdated.
Yeah, but
Um,
luckily I got the good one. I got the one that had I got like the old version, so it has like the nice keyboard and everything and the trackpad. Like I hate their
nice.
butterfly keyboards now.
What's the
Uh,
butterfly keyboard?
it's like ones where you can't like it doesn't really press in. It's kind of just a flat surface. So you really
I
don't
haven't
know
seen
if
those.
you're pressing keys, which I really hate. And me being in like a tech major, technically in college, and you had to
Yeah,
program and stuff like that, like I need to be able to know like if I'm typing. Like I know like if things show up on the screen, but I need like the physical touch of me pressing a button in. So, but
yeah, dude. I had and I miss it honestly. When I was so like I'm using the keyboard that comes with the iMac Pro, which is just like a standard MacBook keyboard.
yeah.
And it's matte black, and like because I'm used to Apple stuff being silver, and like this whole thing is murdered out. Like I got like a black mouse, like it's fucking cool.
Oh, that
I
looks
like
sick.
every I like everything to be black if I can, except for my speakers, which are white, for some contrast. But I like neutral colors, black, white, gray.
Yeah.
Um, anyway, so when I was a Windows guy, because when I graduated college, I needed a new computer and I didn't have a ton of money, so I bought the best Windows computer that I could, which is like a gaming computer, which would do what I needed it to do relatively well. Um, I went back to Mac for obvious reasons. It's better for creative types in my opinion.
Yeah.
But while I had this computer, I had like the old school like the keys are like this high and you feel like the gink gink gink
Yep.
gink gink
Yeah, they're the
like
best. It's the best.
oh it's so satisfying. to just like.
Yeah, my mom, that's what my mom says. My mom's an IT director, and she has like her specific like keyboard she likes. Like she can't like type without those. Like you can hear her. Like she has her office right now due to like coronavirus in the other room. And you
Yeah.
can sometimes hear her just hammering away at the keys, and I'm like, yeah, it's like a satisfying feeling, but you don't really know how to describe it. Like it seems like really it's an awkward
Well,
satisfaction. And there's a lot of these in the world that people have that are awkwardly satisfying.
dude, this is it right here. Do you see how that arch is?
Yeah.
So like the way that I hold my mouse is like you can't really see it, but I'm someone who holds my mouse like a claw.
Ah,
And this versus like so this actually bends, but like this is how a standard iMac mouse looks.
yeah.
And then if you bend it, like it gives me that like because this is an
Oh,
app
it
from like
gives
a
you that
Windows
claw
thing.
feeling.
Yeah, so I can like because I use my mouse for everything. So I hand draw stuff on my iPad, or I use this to kind of get in there and like add some texture to label file or logos and shit. And man, like when you find your niche in terms of like what feels really good in your workspace, and everyone has that thing that makes them comfortable. I've like crafted my little desk area, and when you come stay with me, you'll see it. Like the speakers are there. I have like my happy light in the corner. You know what that you know those are?
This is the sun. This is okay. This is the sunlight, right?
Yeah, it's like the
Okay.
sunlight
We
lamp.
were talking about this on the other episode. Um,
Yeah,
because
super huge for mental
we
health.
were talking about nootropics and we were talking about like things that could help with getting in maybe vitamin D. And I was like, and I mentioned to
Yeah,
my
buddy.
buddy, and I was like, "Do you ever try one of these sunlights? Like, I don't have one personally, but I've been so intrigued
You
because
there,
I
buddy?
me.
Are moved out when you're in college because you're living at another location 75% of the year. Like,
Exactly. That's why I say I'm like, that's my home. Like people ask where home is during the past 4 years. I'm like, it's school. I'm
yeah,
like,
that's where you live, man. You're there most of the time. Like, dude, when I was at like that's where I called my like that's where I lived. Like I stayed with my mom during the holidays, and on the summers, obviously. But I actually did the summer in OU too. Um, but for the because I loved college. But yeah, it was definitely like it's super weird. Like because I went right from graduating to like having my own apartment, and then very soon after, me and my roommate didn't get along, so I moved in with Andrea, who I live with now. And like it's super weird, like being like because I'm only 2 years out from being graduated, so
I
being
know.
like
That's why I don't realize it's like you're like only 2 years older than me. Like a lot of like people would look at this right now since we're on YouTube. People could see us, and you look
I look
like
like a
you're
grown
like
man.
yeah, yeah. Not gonna lie, when I first talked to you, I thought you were like Mark's age. So I thought you were like 30.
Mark's only
Because
5 years older than me,
I know
but
that's what
yeah,
I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Everybody's like typical. I would technically say once you're out of college, age doesn't matter. With
it doesn't
like a
matter.
lot of like when you get older and older, like relationships and everything really blows out the window.
After age 25, because that's when you can legally rent a car,
Yeah,
it doesn't matter anymore. Like they don't care. The only thing that makes a difference is like obviously like, if you're like built like having had built credit when you were younger, like that's the smart thing to do.
yeah.
But you know,
Luckily I
anyway,
did. Luckily I
yeah,
started using a
smart.
credit card in college and I didn't let it get away.
See, I didn't have a line of credit until I graduated until I was 25.
Oh,
So yeah, like
mm,
zero lines of credit until then. I didn't realize that you needed to do that, and like my mom had like a really like rough financial history with like debts and stuff, and I was like, I don't want that, so I just never signed up for a credit card. um, so but like I didn't realize that you needed it to buy the things that you want. So now I'm like trying like rapidly to build my credit. Um,
you'll get there though.
yeah,
You're
I mean
doing
it's not bad. I just started from scratch. Like it
yeah.
is what it is.
You know, it's only the years. Once you get past like a year and a half, I feel like nothing really affects it. Like, truly be honest.
Yeah,
But college brings up a good point, man. That's where a lot of shit went down the past 4 years.
yeah, dude. Dude, I had mental breakdown upon mental. Dude, I don't know if since we're talking about mental health, kind of. Dude, I took almost a year and a half off college.
Oh shit, did
Uh,
you?
yeah, dude. So my depression was so when my grandma got diagnosed with cancer. my depression took like a really dark turn.
Oh, so did
And
so did mine.
really, oh wow,
Yeah. Mine,
well, that's
mine.
similar.
Yeah, I want you to go into yours and I'll touch on mine.
Oh, okay, yeah, please, dude. But so mine got diagnosed with cancer. It was like her third bout with cancer, but this time they let us know that she might not make it.
Mm,
Um, so I was driving home while she was undergoing chemo, like twice a week from Athens to Youngstown, which is like a 4-hour drive.
yeah.
So I was driving like 16 hours a week just to see my grandma like twice a week. My grades were failing. Like luckily the university like recognized that and they expunged that from my record. But
Ah,
like I wasn't paying attention in school. I was only like every minute spent back at Athens was coordinating my next trip to go make sure my grandma was cool.
yep.
To which I then decided that I needed to take. Well, my family actually decided for me. They're like, "Hey, you should probably take some time off until this is sorted." So I did. I took a year off, well, a semester and 3 semesters off, and I was able to take care of her while she was passing. Um, and they gave her 6 months, so I thought it was only gonna be like a semester or two. That old broad kicked it for like 2.5 years. Like I had to go back to college before she actually passed away.
Okay.
That's how much longer. Dude, they gave her 6 months. She lived 2.5 years after that. It was insane.
Yeah, and you were
Um,
just like, what? And you were kind of just like looking around like, what the heck is going
yeah,
on?
after like the year and a half mark, I was starting to like, I was like, all right, like you're not dying, so that's good. I think I can go
It's
back to
like
school.
it's like the weatherman predicting that there's gonna be snow and it turns out to be like a sunny day.
Exactly, exactly. So, dude, well, what happened with your grandma? If you don't mind me asking.
Oh, so mine went through the same so I guess to kind of give the backstory, well, everybody already knows if you listen to the episode, but if you guys are newer to the podcast, first off, thank you for listening. Secondly, when I had the suicide attempt when I was 17. So that was my junior year, January of my junior year of high school. In like May, I want to say it was right after my prom, right after my junior prom. My grandma got like a cut on her leg, and my mom and we lived like 5 minutes away from where my grandma lived,
Mhm.
and my mom went over to check it out, and it was really, really bad. So my mom took her. It was like the next day after prom or something like that. Next day, they took her to hospital, and she ended up getting like diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer. She smoked heavily throughout
So did
her
mine.
years, so she got diagnosed with that. So not only did I just go through the suicide attempt in January, 5 months later, my grandma gets diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer,
Oh,
and then the day before, it was kind of like my summer would always be going over there more often, and
same.
as she was getting worse, I was going over there more and more a little bit, and uh, the day before my senior year started, she passed away. I was like I was sleeping in this bed, napping because I went home because my parents told me to go home because I think they knew, like my mom knew, like that
Mhm.
day because my mom was like basically her caregiver for those 4 months.
Yeah, dude,
Uh,
that's how it was when my grandma passed. Because I was like me and my little brother were her caregivers. Because my grandpa he was 82.
yeah.
He wasn't gonna he couldn't get. This was a woman who insisted on sleeping in her own bed instead of the hospital bed, like that's hospice provided. So me and my little brother would carry her up the stairs so that she could sleep in her own bed.
Oh,
Um,
mine would always sleep on the on her little rocking chair in her living room. I have a funny
yeah.
memory. One time I slept over her place and she always kept the TV on real loud. And one time I went to go turn down the TV and she was asleep. She was knocked out. I went to turn down the TV. She like her hand like went and like banged right onto mine as I was touching the remote. I was like, okay. I was like, Grandma. I was like, nope. Um, so, but no, I remember being woken up and going through
Oh,
that, and it was really rough to kind of know. I went back over, but I think like you knew, like there was that one day where you knew it was going to happen. Like, did you have that day where you knew?
Well, they kind of. Um, they had all of us run into the hospital.
Mm.
Like we'll say it's like week 1. And they're like, she's gonna die today. And we all say our goodbyes, everyone's crying. She's still alive. Next day, she has a heart attack. And at this point, like we've already decided that, we're gonna let nature run its course. Like we don't want her to suffer anymore. Like they don't do anything to fix the heart attack. Like they don't put a stent in, nothing. They're just like, all right, this is what's gonna take her. This is what's gonna take her. 2 weeks pass. And as you know, if you have a heart attack, like, and they don't stop it, you're just continually in a state of like your heart being like fucked, I guess. So she had a 2-week long heart attack and still didn't die. And then she finally passed. So like we knew, but like we had 2 weeks still. It was super weird. Now with my mom, we had no idea.
Yeah, that was
this was just 2.5 weeks ago.
Yeah,
dude. Her and I got lunch on Sunday. I took her to lunch up in Cleveland, like because I just got the new car.
Yeah.
And I wanted to show it off to my mom, obviously. And I was like, oh, like let me pick you up. I'll take you to lunch. She got all excited, and I was like, perfect. I didn't get to see her as much as I usually do because her and her boyfriend like travel all the time and had fun. And I work all the time, so like I take her to lunch, and then I get a call that following Tuesday morning that she had the heart attack, and then she was in and out of ICU Tuesday through Thursday, and then Friday she passed away.
Yeah, that was the day we were supposed to record, right? That was like that. That was late that day.
Yeah, and I was like, hey, I hope you don't mind. And you're like, it's fine. And I was like, thank you. I was like, I understand we made a commitment, and if you want me to record, I was like, I just don't know if I'm gonna be at the best. Like,
it's the one thing.
I was a wreck for like 2 weeks after that, man. I mean, like I just started getting better like probably 6 or 7 days ago.
Yeah, because we initially, because a lot of people, if you guys have followed the podcast, me and Nick actually recorded an episode about like 2 weeks ago, actually.
Yeah, it was like the week. It was actually no, it was like 3 weeks since the funeral. So it was like the week after the funeral. I was cool to record.
Yeah.
And now like I'm just now to that point where like productivity is back. My drive for the gym is kind of coming back. My mood is getting a little bit better. I'm not randomly crying in public anymore, so that's probably a good thing. But yeah, I mean, because like that was, and for anyone who doesn't know me personally, like my dad passed away when I was 4, as well. So like I've just been having like a really tough time with like that whole I don't have parents thing, which at 25 is still like a pretty young age to not have like a parent at all.
Yeah.
Like most people still have one. So, but again, I was blessed with 2 great parents who just passed sooner than they should have. Instead of like I know plenty of people who still have both parents alive and their parents just suck.
Yeah.
So I was very lucky to have the time that I did with them, and that's kind of how I perspectivize things. Is that I had a great childhood. I had my mom did everything for me. So I just like I always look at it as a way to be more positive. Or I've been trying to look at it as a way to transition it to a way to be more positive. Just that like I had all these great memories that I get to, live with for the rest of my life. And that's kind of been how I've been able to wrap my head around, the loss of, 3, including my grandma, because she passed just a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, in like a very short period of time. And it's made me feel better, oddly, because like I don't get a whole lot of like, and we should absolutely not delve into down this road, but like a lot of people get a lot of sympathy or a lot of like, they feel better when like someone says, oh, they're in a better place. To me, I'm like, but you can't prove it. So like that doesn't make me feel any better. Like whether or not like whoever has beliefs of their own, that's fine. I just like, there's no analytical data to prove that my mom went to heaven. So like, so I like that doesn't make me feel better.
You don't. Yeah.
I hope that's the case.
Yeah. Now I remember. So when my grandma passed, I was kind of like okay with it, and like school was kind of a very big distractor for it.
Yeah,
So
you need the distractors.
like it was, so like that first week was still kind of rough. Like that first day, like the next day going into school was kind of rough.
I wouldn't
Um,
have gone.
I went, let's just say I didn't miss any school from like sixth grade to like high school. I never missed a
Oh,
day of school.
you have like
Um,
a perfect attendance thing in like
I
your head.
have like one of those tendencies. Like I'm like I was that kid that would
Did you get an award for it?
no, I didn't get the award for it.
Dude, someone in our school got an award for it. They didn't miss a day from first grade to high school, like or from
I
first grade to senior year.
I would be that kid that would always make my mom make appointments for like the middle of the day so I could just take a half day so I could still be counted for attendance. Um, because it made it easier to like get schoolwork done if you miss stuff. They have more of a reason why. But I remember that first week, I kind of stifled all emotion. And
Absolutely.
I don't know how you kind of handled some of the things, especially with maybe your mom passing. But this actually took more of a mental health toll than I thought.
Hmm.
Um,
Oh,
you
dude,
know,
I'll tell you real quick what I did. I cried for like 3 days straight, and I slept for a week and a half.
See, I didn't cry. See, that's the thing. So until she got cremated, so she didn't have like a full viewing.
Yeah, so did my
Um,
mom.
so like we had like the ceremony and everything, and it wasn't until that ceremony that I actually shed tears. Like I was like the strong one of the family.
Yeah, dude, I didn't cry at her funeral at all. It was before, it was while she was passing, that week leading up until the funeral,
Yeah,
and then the week after I cried. But like the actual day of the funeral, like, dude, I just couldn't cry. Like I wasn't
yeah.
sad on the funeral day.
I didn't
Um,
cry. I didn't cry until that moment, until like until the end of the ceremony, until the end of the funeral type thing. I was
during a, oh,
like
go
it
ahead.
was really difficult. Like it was really difficult for me then to handle it. Like everybody else seemed fine, and then I was just like bawling out in tears, like a prayer, because everybody else got their tears out like a week ago, and then I'm like
Yeah,
sitting there and I was like actually like bawling my eyes out. Like never really understood the importance of my grandma until she actually passed, because like she lived so close to us. So it was like,
it's hard.
yeah, it was.
Yeah, dude. Like, dude, what made me cry more than anything is you don't know my friend Mike. His name's Mike Georgie. He's one of Mark's clients also. He introduced
No.
himself in the Facebook group,
Yeah, he introduced himself in the Facebook group. Yeah.
but so like him and Mark are like those are like my two best friends. Like,
Okay.
you and they both showed up to my mom. Mike stayed with me. He rode with me down to like help me with like everything pre-funeral and stayed with me the whole funeral. And Mark came down on his birthday with
Yeah.
Keely to the funeral. And like the thought about thinking of like those three people being there that we're just like I'm very close with. Oh, dude, that brought me to tears just to have people that care about me to that extent. Like I was crying later that night because of like the amount of love that was shown, like not out of sadness, but out of happiness that like I have those people that I can count on, um, which I think are important. Um, like to know that you have those kinds of friends that can that you can really lean on.
Yeah.
I
You
think
know,
it's just huge.
I think the hardest part, so I'm going to refer this back, and I think you talked about leaning on people. And
Hmm.
if a lot of people haven't been listening so far, we wanted this episode to be more about mental health, and we're going to dive still a little bit more into it. We could make this into like this could be like a whole 3 hour long form conversation if we totally talked about it for that long.
If you
Um,
gave you and I the ability, dude, like you and I can talk for hours, and like it's just
exactly.
organic conversation, especially because we don't know a ton about each other yet.
Yeah.
Actually, you know more about me than most people because of just our conversations, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. And I remember, so it's really funny. So the first time I came out about talking about like my suicide, it was really funny. No one from high school texted me unless it was the people that knew me in a way, but none of my friends texted me saying they didn't know. None of my, like, no one I was kind of close with in high school really, in, I'm trying to figure out the words because it brings back a lot of things. But
I understand you.
but no one, it was really weird that the people apologizing were the people that did nothing wrong. Like that's kind of like the thing I kind of noticed out of it. It was like people were DMing me when I came out with my story on Instagram, and I was like, wow, it's so awesome to see this much support. Like, take that post. Like, I'm not gonna mention like it got like 1,200 views or something like that. Like, I was like, oh shit. I was like, this many people read my story. Like, that's crazy. But I know, I know out of how many of those people read it were people that I went to high school with, and I bet you I offended some of their feelings and good.
Did you call them out for not saying shit?
I I think I realized through the moments, like through things I described in the post, they definitely know who I was talking about, like who did what things and stuff.
Yeah,
Um,
dude. You find
and
out who your friends are really fucking quick when you need them.
yeah,
Really fucking quick.
and I realized I don't have any friends from my hometown. Like that's why I don't like being like it's a whole mental case to be in this room and be in this neighborhood is because I'm not besides like my sister and her husband and like my other sister and like all their friends. Like I'm closer with them than I am with anybody my age.
Yeah, of
Um,
course.
but it was really interesting to see who had my like who actually came to talk to me after I did that post and stuff like that. And it was no one. But I also hid that for so many years. Like I hid it for almost 5 years. I never talked about it with anybody. Like never
Yeah.
until this year. Um,
I mean, dude, that's kind of, I mean, I don't want to say that's kind of the same thing that, like, the only people that know about me, fuck it, I mean, I guess whoever's listening is gonna know, like, too, but like my suicide attempt as well. The only people that really know are like the people that I've mentioned on this podcast, Andrea, Mark, Mike, Ben, I think knows. Um, but yeah, dude, unrelated, and just something like super huge to like that I need to bring up and to tell people about. Like I'm full time with Ben for the most part,
yep.
as a contractor technically, but um, dude, when my mom passed away, like dude wouldn't let me work. He gave me as much time as I possibly needed to get in the right headspace and to be okay to work again. And like for the owner of a huge company to be so understanding about something like that, dude, I could not be more proud to work where I work because of that. And Ben has put a huge emphasis on my mental health, and on the mental health of those around him too. And he just cares and he understands. Um, like just a great all around dude, who I could not speak more highly of, honestly.
Yep.
So I don't think there's one person on the face of this earth that can disagree that Ben is fantastic.
That is true. I mean, some of his competitors might say it, but I mean, I honestly, the fact that we were discussing this before we went live, or I guess technically, actually, I think we went live when we started talking about it. When I
Yeah,
said
you sneak it on me, you
when
fucker.
Ben brought up going to YouTube, like that was like Ben gave me advice like after we dropped the episode. Like I remember he like the other day he asked me, he was like, do you have a video like format for me? And I had to go back. I had to like hurry up from my walk home. Like I do a morning walk. I had to hurry up my walk, get home,
Mhm.
upload my video to iMovie, edit it real quick. So I had a clip and then send it to him because I was like, I got to make this happen. But yeah, no, you do realize who's who real quick when you go through something
Mhm.
like that. And,
Oh
you
yeah,
know,
dude.
I think, I think it actually took and I don't know if you want to get into your what happened with your attempt. You don't
I
have
would
to,
love. Oh, dude, I'll share the gory details, man. I don't
but
really care.
I remember I remember going through it, and then when I was done it, it wasn't like I went to like a psych ward or anything. Like no one knew.
No one knew about
Like
mine either. Mine was as simple as my door was closed. And my mom opened the door, and right as she opened the door, I went from gun in mouth to gun tucked in couch. I just started crying. I think she knew. She never said anything about it. Um, I was like, Mom, I was like, I just started crying, and she said it's gonna be okay.
mine
Um,
was no one knew. I actually like I said this like I went through it, and right before I was going to go through it, like something told me not to.
Good.
Which is funny that you brought up like beliefs earlier. Like I don't know what it was, but something told me not to, and for some reason I just didn't, and I did what, and it went through something very similar to you. I just laid down, Happened right here. Literally
Mm.
not even 2 feet away. And I just laid there and like cried the whole night. I don't think I slept that whole night. But you know,
Yeah.
and the next
So
day, and it was really weird because the next day was like back to
normal.
school, back to normal. No one knew. I never talked about it, never touched on it, but it was it. I think that took more of a mental toll, not telling anybody.
Oh, dude,
Uh,
it was.
yeah,
I don't even remember when I told people. Um, but I know that like the people closest to me knew I was fucked up, like from like how I was, because you'll know because you've already gotten like a phone call, but like the people who I'm really close with, like they'll get phone calls periodically, like throughout the course of the week. Um, and like they'll be able to tell like if something is wrong or if I need to talk. Or I'll talk to Andrea, um, which is huge. But like for instance, I know that Mike and like Mark knew because Mark was essentially coaching me at that point. Um, and because so basically what happened was this is all in like a very short period of time.
yeah,
So my grandma passed. 2 days later, my ex-girlfriend's mom passed.
okay,
Then she started like drinking heavily. And then she broke up with me going into the peak week for North Americans.
yeah,
I pushed through that week, competed, did well. And then on that drive home was when I decided. And I stopped to get lunch with my mentor on the way home, like the day after the show. Um, Went home, made that choice, and then my mom just miraculously came home at the right time. Um, or else I probably wouldn't be here. Um, but
yeah,
yeah, man. I mean, and that's like the one thing is that like even since then, like there's something that's going on with me personally right now that I don't want to discuss if that's okay.
yeah. No, no.
That like that thought, dude, like I'm sure you know it too. When shit starts to get bad, that thought will like creep up right back here. Like that's an option. And you have to kind of like force that shit away. Or
Yeah,
talk to someone about it, or else it doesn't go away. Like that thought can like what I let happen was I didn't tell anyone that I was feeling this way. And I let that thought get bigger and bigger and bigger until that thought could be acted upon. What I should have done and what I do now is I'll call people. I talk to them. So if you get a phone call from me, or if you talk to me on the phone, even if it doesn't seem like it's about something important, like it'll be because I need to talk. You
yeah.
know what I
We
mean?
we didn't talk about it. I don't even know what the fuck we talked about. To truly be honest,
No,
um,
exactly. No,
but
dude. And like sometimes you just need to know that people have your best interests in mind. Um, I think like, and you don't have to share like what's going on with your friends, but like to let them know that you're be like, hey, like, I'm not really cool discussing the details, but like I'm going through some shit. Um,
yeah,
and
that's
obviously,
yeah. Keep
and
going.
if it's serious, I would say obviously like please reach out to like a healthcare professional. Like we should probably state that is don't fight through like
Yeah,
because
don't
like
do what we did. Do not do
yeah, do not do what we
because
did.
you see how it almost ended for us. Because that's the one thing I
All,
stress. It's like,
two people coincidentally didn't go through it, which is cool. But like to think that you're gonna have like a moment of like, oh, maybe my mom will come in the room and stop me. Like that doesn't happen for everyone, and a lot of people end their lives um, hoping that that's what was gonna happen, and it never does. I just got very lucky. You got very lucky. So with that being said, if you are having this thing, dude, talking to someone, having a counselor or a therapist helps a ton. I see both a psychiatrist and a psychologist um, because like my anxiety and stuff is bad, so I get medicated for that. But the end goal for me is to be off all prescription drugs at some point. But for the time being, it's relatively recent, so I'm still stabilizing from the trauma. And obviously, like I was to that point to have that talk with my doctor about like a month ago that I wanted to start like tapering down my medications, and then my mom died, and then it was like, well, now's probably not the time to
yeah,
change what's keeping you even keeled. Um,
yeah.
so
I kind of relate to you with the phone. It might not be a phone call because I always, you know what? I'm actually always nervous to talk to people, kind of like that.
really,
Like, yeah, like that's the one thing. Like, well, it was actually really interesting because I'll share kind of my perspective over you actually calling. Because
Sure.
this is really interesting because like
Well,
I kind of
can I tell
mentioned,
you how that phone call started too, by the way, before you go?
yeah,
Me, Thomas,
I
John,
know, and Mark,
and
we're all
Mark.
there.
Dude, we were all sitting there and like your name came up. Like someone said something like, oh, Spada or Spada, by the way,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Yeah. Because they said Spada, I said Spada, but we argued about it for a second. But we're like, he just like messaged, he was like Thomas, and he just messaged me. I was like, oh, I love that kid. And everyone at the pool, like simultaneously was like, yeah, like we love that dude. So I was like, fuck it, like let's call him real quick because we're all together. And we did. And then, you and I got on the phone a little bit later, but you just had to know that like literally everyone in that pool was like, yes, like we like
yeah.
this dude.
There's a, you know, I never, man, I don't want to start crying because I'm going to start crying. Um, when it meant a lot when if I guess people don't know this because it's kind of just a personal conversation between you and I, but you
Sure.
invited me out to the Arnold next year.
Yeah.
Um, it actually meant more, and getting that call meant a lot because, man,
Oh, dude, it's all right, man. Go.
I never had, like I mentioned before, I never really had people that really cared. Um,
Absolutely.
and I never had people that would invite me, that would that wanted to be that was friends with me so well. Actually, it's really
Mm.
funny because me and Nick we talked about a total of like maybe on like a handful of times.
Well,
Um,
verbally, yeah, but we talk almost
yeah,
every day,
but
I
we
think.
talk almost every day in some sort of
Yeah.
capacity. And I never had people who cared that much, and to kind of hear that when you gave me that voice message, the voicemail that you left, that you all four were there, I was kind of just like, I kind of just shed a tear because I was like, I never really had people that had my back or had my best interest in their minds too, or would do something like that where they would invite me somewhere, because I was
Absolutely.
never that kid who would get invited to places. Like I was always that kid that stayed home. Like this was my party for high school,
Yeah.
was this room. So uh
Do,
I
do
mean,
you,
I never had anybody that really cared that much. And
dude,
it's
I,
been,
I can list 5 people off the my hand right now that care that much about you. So,
I
you know
know,
what I
and
mean?
it's been very, it's been overwhelming a little bit too on me, just a little bit, because I'll say this, like as I'm growing, and it might not
Hmm.
seem like I'm growing like mentally and physically, like I'm growing an extraordinary amount of Mark's seeing it firsthand, and a lot of people are seeing it firsthand.
Hmm.
Um, whoever's close to me, whoever I keep in touch with, I keep in touch with a lot of the teammates. They're
Sure,
kind of
as you
like
should.
they're my mental outlets. Like you guys are all like, whoever's listening to this, if you guys are listening to this, like, who you are, who I talk to on a daily basis. Like we just chat, we basically just share food pics and then just share how our gym days go, like how our gym sessions go and stuff like that. But
But
it's
isn't that
like,
so important though?
yeah, like having those tiny conversations, like keep me in the right space to do this. Like it's really funny, like, and doing this, it's like it's overwhelming to see how fast things are growing for me, and I don't want it to go. And the best part is it hasn't gone too fast, because because I've had plenty of people on here who have massive accounts, and if anything like blew up right away,
Mm,
like say I went from like what I have now, like 800 followers to like 5,000, like that would be really overwhelming for me to kind of have
absolutely.
that reach. But it's not even about that anymore. It's more about the people who talking to now, like Mark, like John, like you, like
Thank you.
Tom. Like me and Tom talk daily. Me and Mark, like anytime I send a message to someone, your phone calls are like my Instagram message to somebody.
Ah, I see. So it's
Like
kind of
that's why I
that
was trying to get
little.
like that's why I was trying to get out. Like it's kind of like that's like my little kind of get out of like my stress zone. Because I always seem to be worried, and I mean overwhelmed about the future. Like looking at where things could possibly go, I get really
Absolutely.
nervous about that because I never been in a position where I feel I've been of success, and I'm
Hmm.
starting to be surrounded by it, and I'm starting to see more of it. Like I'm slowly chipping away. But
Yeah,
it's
dude.
like
And
you
like,
people are like grounding me back. And it's like been incredible because I started the quarantine in such a bad place. But then I swear coming to this team has meant a lot more because
absolutely.
of the place that I now have transcended to.
Absolutely, dude. No, and like that's kind of like something that like it's a lot it's a lot deeper than bodybuilding what you get out of bodybuilding to some degree. And dude, like I was kind of the opposite where I let like quarantine like take me from a really good place and then a bunch of bad shit happened
Yeah,
during
that's how
quarantine.
mine start. Like mine went from really good to really fucking bad real quick.
Yeah, well, dude, I guess like I found out that I'm just not as hardcore as I thought I was because I didn't want to do air squats in my house. But like I just didn't want to do that. Like it like honestly not being able to go to the gym really played a big toll in my mental health because I wasn't because if you think about it, quarantine started the week or two after the Arnold, right?
Yeah, it like started like yeah, because Arnold got canceled.
So
So
during Arnold week, I didn't train. I was working 20-hour days during Arnold week.
yeah, you were recording. Yeah, we went over this last
Everyone.
podcast. You were
Yeah,
recording
dude.
everything.
Oh, dude, I was an idiot, dude. I didn't get any rest. And dude, every
You're
time that,
smart
that week
idiot.
comes,
I would say you're smart
yeah,
idiot on that one.
I just didn't like. I just worked my ass off. I was one of those guys, and then it went from so I didn't train like the week leading up into the Arnold because I was prepping. Then the following week I didn't train because I was working all the week, and then it went to quarantine. So I think I got like 3 workouts in prior to quarantine, and then all of a sudden like I just couldn't, and that like destroyed me mentally. And I'm still having trouble getting back there because I lost some size. I mean, I lost like 20 pounds, um, which should come back relatively quickly.
Yeah.
But like I said, I haven't, like, this is the first week that I'm kind of taking my nutrition back to serious and taking my training a little more seriously.
And probably feels
Um,
great, right?
yeah, so today, I like, because I ate kind of like a normal person on the weekend because like I just ate normally, like whatever, like I intuitively ate, I guess.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of giving myself a fasted day today to clean out like the pizza and ice cream that I had. And I, I just really wanted pizza, so I had it. Because like typically like before, well, because like with Mark though, I take things seriously, and I know that I'm not going to get a free meal for like 6 more weeks probably.
At least you get
So
one.
what I no, I'm saying like I probably won't be allotted one for the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm gonna eat what I want this weekend,
Yep.
and then kind of get to it on Monday. And then I gave myself today to fast that bloat and that digestive stress out. Austin kind of taught me that fasted day is a really good.
Oh, well, he's eating a ridiculous. He eats a ridiculous. I had him on the show. He eats a ridiculous
Yeah,
amount of food, so I think he needs that day is probably a blessing for that guy.
exactly. Whereas I took it more so as like let's let my GI tract calm down.
Yeah.
And then let's kind of start fresh on Tuesday when I start training. Because I train, I think 5 days a week. Bryce Calvin, I don't know if you know who that is. I had him do my
Yeah.
training protocol.
Yep.
And I forget if he has me on 4. I think it's 5 days a week actually. Push pull. No, it's 6 days actually. It's push pull legs, push pull legs.
Oh God.
Um, they're great. They're fantastic training sessions.
Oh yeah, he's awesome. He. I want to get him on the show actually because
As you should.
I heard he's awesome.
When
Um,
it comes to training specifically,
I heard he's amazing.
he's incredible. Again, like there's a lot of people who I really like in the industry, and only a few people who I've worked with and who I would like trust myself with. And Bryce is one of those people.
Yeah.
Especially because he was a friend, so I was comfortable explaining like, hey,
Yeah.
because prior to like,
I thought I saw you in his story the other day filming some content for him.
yeah, that was me. Yeah, so I'm helping with content too.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if you saw, I just did his logo, which he just released
Yeah, I
yesterday.
saw that. That actually looked pretty sick. Which, haha, funny what me and Nick are going to be doing pretty soon.
Yes.
But but yeah, no, I understand. So it's like the importance of having people around, and you know what kept me really sane was this. I lost myself with school. School kind of took a backseat because it got 100 times easier. Having all your notes for exams and stuff, it was kind of just graduate and move on now at that
Mm-hmm.
point.
Did you officially graduate, by the way?
Yeah, in May.
Oh, you graduated in. So are you waiting? What are you waiting to do? Or just
So
waiting for a job?
so I'm moving. So I start full time with the company I worked for in DC uh,
Nice,
on the 24th of August. So I
nice.
so I basically
Oh,
have
so
a
you,
month. So I have a month of like stress free, pack on as much muscle as possible because I know I could keep my stress levels low. I can eat what I want to eat. I can cook when I want to cook. Um, but I'm happy where I am.
are you
Um,
moving to DC?
I'm moving outside of it. So I'm moving to somewhere it's called like Alexandria. So it's about
Okay,
20 minutes. It's about 20 minutes outside of there. They have like the sickest gym on the.
that would put you actually closer to us than Penn State, right? In
It's
Ohio?
I don't know because it is really funny because for Virginia from Virginia to Penn State is the same distance from my home in PA to Penn State.
Huh.
So I don't know. I mean,
It's not a
if
huge
it
factor
would,
then for you to come home,
I
see mom
would
and dad or whatever.
no. I would just take the train
Mm,
back up, which is pretty easy.
nice.
And there's an airport on the metro that you can get from to take a domestic flight, so it's not
Oh,
even
nice.
that bad anyway.
Yeah, I was gonna say, dude,
That's why I was
especially if
saying
things.
when I come out to Columbus, it's gonna be an airport trip just right up. It's gonna be airport to Columbus. It's gonna be pretty
I'm,
easy.
I'm sure a flight probably won't be more than 150, $200 for that little flight too.
Yeah, no,
Especially
but
not. I mean, shit, dude. If this continues with the virus, I mean, flights could be fucked for a while. So it may be like ideal time to travel if you're willing to risk it.
yeah,
Um,
we can get away with it. We'll just
yeah, hush hush. But yeah, dude. You really do need to come. Like, you do really need to come out when it's like available to you, like
yeah,
when you're able
I'm
to.
I'm hoping probably after the first like 3 months, probably working. That's probably like my mom was kind of telling me that's probably like the probationary period. So then I'll get like my benefits, my off time. Like after that, I'm gonna take it. But
Absolutely.
yeah, I will be out there as soon as I can. To truly be honest, I was thinking about
What?
trying in the next month. I was really hoping this whole shit would have been done before August, so I could have.
Yeah.
But I still got to plan a whole move to Virginia, which I
Yeah.
don't know when I'm gonna do because of this virus. Because I'm starting remote, so
Mm,
I'm gonna be chilling here, doing nothing but work. But no, this thing. Get back to my point. This thing really saved me. This
good.
I scheduled. I went from doing it twice a week. I think when I was in school, I really could only handle doing it like two recordings a week because I was
Mm.
trying to have a life, balance that with my fitness, balance it with a lot of other things, such as
Oh yeah.
studying, and trying
I mean,
to
dude,
just live the last semester up, kind of.
it's hard to be social and to get good grades. Let
Well, I
alone,
worked in a bar, so it wasn't too hard. So like, I had a job where socializing was kind of like the key to everything. You gotta
yeah.
make
See,
that.
like,
You
I
gotta
didn't
make
have a
that
bar job.
money.
Yeah. See, I worked in like an upscale, like in a more upscale restaurant kind of a place when I
uh
was in college. So like I would work from like 5 to 11, and then I would use all my tip money to get shit faced, because I was just irresponsible.
we did that.
I
We did that
still
on Sunday when our bar wasn't open. We would go to other
ah.
bars and then get shit faced. No, that's the
Mm.
old me though.
Yeah, same.
From
I haven't had an alcoholic drink in almost 4 years.
I haven't had
Four,
one. I had one for my graduation, but other than
rightfully
that,
so.
but other than that,
Oh, no, 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 no. I blacked out when I graduated, so it's been 2 years, not 4 years. I apologize.
um, this will be another episode. We're gonna get you back on and do another episode about this because I think this is important. But I haven't had a drink in since then. So the first week of May. So it's been like 2.5 months or something.
Mhm.
But before that, I didn't have a drink since like January.
Nice.
So
I don't like alcohol. I
I have
think
a
that
problem with it.
same. I can't stop drinking once I start is my issue.
Yeah,
Like,
I
like,
hid my anxiety. I had a ton of anxiety that I hid through the drinking. That's a whole nother episode that we get into.
oh,
Um,
absolutely.
but I went from back to my point. I went from recording twice a week to I was booking sessions left and right.
Yeah, dude.
Like you probably have seen it. Like it's like I feel like I'm booking nonstop. Like to get the listeners. I mean, you guys when this is recorded, you guys won't know, but like I had about, I have like 23 episodes in the bank. So this one's going to come out next Monday because I don't want to wait to get a mental health. Whenever mental health comes out, I like to get these ones out as soon as possible. These are
Oh,
like the special
absolutely.
ones.
Well, thank you.
Well, actually, now I guess then you will know I do have 23 episodes. I had the next like 6 months worth of guest episodes in the bank, which
Nice.
it's good to have that because then I know I'm going to see continued growth from this, and it's going to be awesome
Exactly.
because it's cool. It's cool to just record. Like a lot of people don't realize the power that we just went through from speaking of this, and you could see it now. And now that this is going to be on YouTube, people will be able to see it. You can see
Oh
the
yeah.
emotion that goes into it when you really connect with someone. Um, because me and Nick connected, like we mentioned on our last episode, we connected like right away when I sent the first
We
message. So
yeah, we
it's
started like talking. You like sent me like something very,
I
very nice.
I told you
Um,
you have dope work. Like
well,
your
thank you.
work
Yeah.
like your work that you do is pretty sick.
And I,
Because Mark shot you out on all his content. It says camera by.
yeah. Well, dude, that's like the funny thing though, is like when you like at that point though, I had already heard the podcast a few times and like I had already heard about you through a few friends. So I was like, okay, so I kind of know who this is. And then I think I was with Ben when you messaged me. I was like, so I'm talking to this dude. I was
Yeah,
like, I'd like to
yeah,
go on his podcast. And he's like, dude, you should. He goes, I was just on it. I was like, cool, man. Well, because like I also do my best to act as like in the best interest of like those who I work for. So like I always make sure that it wouldn't be like a conflict of interest to go on and claim to be what I am for a company. Um, if that makes sense.
yeah.
Like for instance, like I've worked for clients who do not want me to announce like that I work for them, which is fine.
Which is okay.
Um, yeah, they're like, yeah, like I it's essentially like not an NDA where I can't use that work for myself or for my own promotional purposes, which is fine, I guess. Whereas Ben doesn't really mind what I do because I just promote the company as best I can.
Yeah.
In any facility I can. Which, dude, you'll know. I plug Morphogen at least 20 times a day to anyone who will listen to me. And it's not out of like, ooh, let's get some. Yeah, I don't
Like
think it's
let's
that,
make
but
some dollar like let's make bills. Like it's not about that. Like people always say, like, it's really funny because
that's the difference, though.
we mentioned this the last time because I remember mentioning it to you. Like I don't have the biggest account, and the fact that he trusted me to promote his products like that, like it's like
Mhm.
I have a certain level of respect for Ben and Morphogen because they
Of
gave me
course.
the opportunity. He gave me the opportunity to grow from it
Mhm.
because I'm able to have him on as guest, and then he grows from it as well because he gets the exposure from that way too. Um, so it's
Yep.
like I have no problem sharing that I work for him, but I also use. But there's also a thing where a lot of people don't actually use the products that they promote, which is a which is a
I
problem.
I think the difference between people who push other companies' products and people who push Morphogen products are the people who push Morphogen products are people who are like, no, this is what supplements are supposed to be like. We all use them. We pay for them. We don't expect shit for free. And our discount code that like is because we want some involvement with our favorite company. It's not like I don't want to drop names, but there are people who have affiliations with companies because of the money. There are people who have affiliations because of the free stuff, and that's fine. Um, but like most people who promote us do so freely. Actually, almost everyone does it freely. I mean, we have people who are high, like whose codes get used a ton.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
But
there were some people I've had on the show that most most of the people that I've had that are some of the big time people that he works with have been on the show. So it's
yeah,
like I know what you're talking about, but because I remember
oh,
Sean was on the show.
oh, dude,
Uh
the funniest thing in the world, real quick, you'll love this, is so Mark didn't know Ben personally for quite some time.
yeah.
Um, and he wasn't like actively giving out discount codes at one point. And so I gave Mark's team my discount code to use. So Ben is like, and this is right when Mark started taking off. So like Ben texts me and he goes, Nick, you're like the third highest earner in the country in discount codes. I started laughing. I was like, I knew exactly why. But I was like, oh hell yeah. Like I was like, that's dope. But it's funny because like I don't like I was already getting free product as an employee. So I was like, well, that's cool. I was like, oh wait, and then like I was like, Mark. I was like, we need to get Mark his own code. And Ben's like, yeah, Mark definitely needs his own code.
Yeah, I was surprised when he gave me my O code. Um, but like I mentioned to you before we were off air, I was kind of surprised by the amount. Like, it may not be huge. I was surprised by the amount of people that may have used it or how many
Yeah.
times it was used. Um, but you know, Ben, to kind of give some preface to people, Ben doesn't give out codes to anybody. We're not saying he gives out codes to everybody. Um, he gives out codes to people that he looks to, who think will grow with the brand too, as well. Um, like you had to have a conversation with him at some point before you even think about like I had a podcast episode with him, and I actually was nervous to even mention it to him because I wanted to grow with the brand, and it's something where I see where I can go and I see how much value I can add to his brand. So it's kind of
Absolutely.
like that's like where I thought, I was just nervous to ask him because of that.
Mm. And you
Um,
really shouldn't have been knowing Ben now,
yeah, knowing
but
Ben now, I was like, well, all right. But it's an awesome opportunity to have. Um, it just comes to show kind of how much work you have to put in though, because without some people, I probably wouldn't have gotten to know Ben. Without like a ton of different people coming through the podcast and stuff like that, like I wouldn't have gotten to get Ben on the show and stuff. But it comes to show what you can do when you truly use social media for good. Um, and it's what I
absolutely.
do. And
And you're
honestly, I
hitting
only do
people.
it. I only do it to try to change people's lives. Like that's why we do it. So
Yeah.
Ben, you're probably listening to this episode. We love you. I'm number one.
Yeah. Dude,
Don't get anything wrong.
this entire podcast is just been us saying how much we love Ben.
Yeah. That's been the last like 10 minutes. Hey Ben, we gave you an extra ode. So if you want to like add like an extra like $30 to my discount code, you can, just shove a little bit. No, I'm kidding. But you know, I think this episode really helped with people because it's showing how far we've come. And
Yeah.
I think that's why I try to show every single episode is, if I'm able to create something like this from an experience that I went through where I almost actually ended my life, it's really rewarding to just record every single day. It's why I do it. It's why I record so much because it's just rewarding to have sit down and have however long this conversation was,
Yeah.
to just chat with people. Like that's the coolest thing is to just sit down and talk. Um,
Dude, and that's the thing. And like you, again, you haven't fully seen the breadth of it yet because like, but that's how I am with my phone calls to people too, where it's like I just don't record them. Um, because trust me, the things that we discuss sometimes be recorded. But like it is so important that like that you have that outlet to discuss and like that's I'm just really proud of you too, dude, for like finding your thing that makes you happy because like not a lot of people go through life and they don't really realize what makes them happy. um and I think you found something, dude, which is awesome. That makes me happy as your friend, and as your podcast guest from time to time, knowing that like someone in like my immediate circle has found happiness doing what they love. Because not, dude, I've had this discussion with friends who they don't know what they love doing yet. And for
and
me,
that's
it's super
perfectly okay.
confusing.
And
Oh,
that's perfect.
absolutely.
And we're not saying you're going to find it. I've been fortunate to find it at a younger age than most. But like I mentioned before, to even start like, I don't know if we were on air or not because it feels like forever ago since we started.
Yeah.
But it's like a lot of the people that are in the positions I want to get to or a lot of the friends I've met through Instagram are a lot farther than I am. I'm very fortunate to find kind of what I love to do at a younger age,
Mhm.
which
Absolutely.
is pretty sick because, like I mentioned to someone today with the bodybuilding too, like getting into this at like 22. You know how
It's
much
huge.
time I have at 22 now to
Yeah. I started
like.
at 16 and I still suck. So,
Don't worry, so do
um,
I. It's fine, you know. But we'll see. We'll see what happens in a few years when me and
oh,
Mark
dude,
when Mark fully understands all the parts of my body and understands everything. It's gonna be 100% go time. But it's pretty cool to kind of just get into things I love at this age because now I know. Now I could prioritize what I truly love instead of I will try a million different things. Honestly, I will still go through life trying things because you never know what you will find next that you might love to do and add into what you already love or incorporate it somehow.
that's how I got back into music.
Yeah.
Like, dude, I knew what I wanted to do from the time age of, like, dude, if you would ask me at age 15 what I wanted to do, it was work for a supplement company and be in the fitness industry. If you would have asked me at age 16 or 17, because there's a little bit of an age, it's between ages 17 and 16 and 18 that I found out about Morphogen. I didn't realize Morphogen was a small company. Someone at the gym gave me a scoop of that pre-workout to try, and I've been a customer since I was 17.
Yeah.
Um, that was my dream job. I got my dream job while I was still in college. Like if you'd
Exactly.
asked me, so if you'd asked me 2 years, like my senior year, I was like, oh man, I'd love to be a designer and a film and a videographer for like a company like Morphogen. That's what I'm doing right now. Like that was my dream.
That's why
Um,
I actually told my parents I would totally take a pay cut to go work for like something like a supplement company to learn
oh yeah.
under somebody, like to
Mhm.
just be around those people because they know they know the whole industry and they also know like how to place yourself in the right position to succeed. Like it's like I would do that in a heartbeat. Like I would
Mhm.
find I find the cheapest place to live like outside of like an hour within work and I would make it happen. Um but
Yeah, dude.
I'm hoping a ton of people took a lot of things away from this episode because we touched on a multitude of topics on this one. Um
Oh yeah.
Honestly, I don't even want to do the final three questions because we already had you on. So people already
Yeah.
know kind of what type of personality you have. Um,
Yeah.
we know you're going to be on here multiple times. This is
Absolutely.
going to end up being like, I kind of feeling this is going to be like a weekly thing between you and I. It's just going to be a talk
Probably.
session.
You can I be the who like the reoccurring guests from like the random guys that are sometimes on Joe Rogan, like
Yeah.
like you were
Yeah.
talking about,
No,
like
you'll be like my Joey Diaz.
exactly. I will take that all day. I will be Joey Diaz all day. Or like Bert Kreischer or
Yeah.
some of
Any of the
those.
sober guys, you could be,
Yeah.
you could be Brian Callen or Brandon
Yes.
Schaub, something like that. You could be one
No,
of
do I
those
want to be
guys.
Tom? If I could be anyone, it would be. Have you seen Tom Segura?
Oh, his episodes are great. Oh, well, his
He,
episodes are, he's fun. He's
he's
hysterical.
my favorite comedian, probably. Um, for any, and since he didn't ask me questions, if anyone wants homework, like just watch Tom Segura. It'll make your day so much better. He's just like this big, chubby, bearded dude. Actually, he's not as chubby anymore. He lost weight,
Yeah.
but he's this big, bearded dude who is just hysterical. Um, so that's like if I get to pick, if I get to pick who I am, it's Tom Segura.
Well, the
Like,
fact that you
do you
the
ever do?
fact that you labeled me Joe Rogan, I feel kind of like I'm like people have been saying this. I don't want to. I'm not saying we're going off air. We're going off air. I'm not talking about this one on air. This
That's
is going
fair.
off air because I got some stuff to discuss. But we're gonna end it right here because we're getting into some nonsense now that always happens around like the hour 30 mark. Always
Yeah.
happens. I've had this a few times, and I'm like. Last time I talked to Mark for 2 hours, I blanked out. I think I told him, and Mark even texted me when I came out with the preview. He was like, "Man, I don't even remember saying half this shit." I was like, "I'm right in the same boat with you, my dude." I was like, "You gotta
I
remember
don't remember our
conversations."
last podcast at all. Like, not even a little bit.
I don't. I'm starting to. it's like conversation, the next conversation. It's like, honestly, I piece them back together eventually, like through things that people may repeat if they come back
Yeah.
on. But, you know, other than that, I just like to have just genuine conversations that start out as nothing and they somehow go somewhere to maybe teach someone things, but it's just a thing where
Yeah.
I love just talking. So if you guys did enjoy this episode, um, Nick's Instagram is tagged below. My Instagram's below. Take a screenshot of either on YouTube or on it or listening to it on one of the other platforms. Put it on your Instagram story. Tag us both. We'll definitely share some love back to you guys, and hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you guys are watching on YouTube, hopefully you guys enjoyed watching half naked me on air.
I'll show
Um,
more skin next time.
yeah, we'll do a little nipple.
Like,
We'll do a nipple showing.
you just like let me get back to the gym for like a month, and like when I look normal again, and
Yeah,
I'll
we
just be
got you.
fully nude in the podcast.
Yeah,
Like
we
it'll be
got you.
fine.
But hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Like I mentioned, we're gonna try to get some more YouTube videos to you guys for this, because I think it's just another way you guys finally getting to see who is the kid behind the mic. Um, Unlike the Ben episode where I was growing my beard out because I didn't feel like shaving it, so I look like a homeless man.
I look like
Um,
one now. It's fine.
but everybody, thank you for listening to this episode of the podcast, and thank you, Nick, for coming on.
Of course, man. Of course.